Hello, what's up, equestrians? So today, I'm just going to adjust my camera there. Today, I had quite a few questions about this topic. So I'm really excited to talk about this. And it's something that, uh, you know, so specifically the topic is, riding with your spouse or riding with others. And this topic has kind of spiraled into, a whole variety of discussions and conversations. So the reason that this topic is important is because I know there's a lot of situations where maybe you're out on a trail and you're with a group of others, but your horse just, I don't know, can't keep up with them, or maybe those people are riding around like too fast, or they're making your horse wound up. So there's a lot of situations where, either you're riding with your spouse or you're riding with others, where, how do we deal with that? Especially if you're at a stables where, let's say, you're training in a certain style and everyone else seems to be doing like a totally different style. Or if it is, in fact, your spouse, maybe your spouse is not very horsey, or maybe they are horsey, but they learned a little bit differently than you did. So how do you kind of handle this conversation, okay, especially when it comes to horses and everyone's, so it's kind of like sports, like everyone's really passionate about their teams and who they learned with, or whatever it is, whatever style that they learned. And so sometimes it could be a really like emotional topic. So that is what I'm going to be diving into today. And I did get quite a few questions about this topic, so I'm going to try and do my best to answer some of these questions as best I can. So let me just go ahead and dive straight to it and pull it up. If you are joining me live today, please, like comment your questions at any time. And also let me know in the chat where in the world you are watching from. I love to hear, where you guys are watching from. So just comment down below. And yeah, so let's go ahead and dive in. So one of the questions which I have received is, what is the best way to be tactful when you are receiving input or giving input on, riding advice to others, maybe your spouse or maybe to someone else in the stables? So the best way to be tactful. This is an interesting topic because, as I, just mentioned, like a lot of people are like hardcore, like fans about a certain style. Here's the biggest thing that I think you should realize is it is not our job. Okay. It's not your job to make everyone in the equestrian space do it your way. And unfortunately, there's a lot of like equestrians that I see them and like, you want to shake them like, no, you're doing it wrong. Personally, I think the best thing that you can do is lead by example. So, if you're riding around with your horse in a bitless or in a snaffle bit and you're jumping a big course, you could only hope that other people will look at you and think, oh, wow, maybe I'm doing something and I should change it. So one of the things I want to say is, it's not so much about giving advice like tactfully, because if you feel you have to be tactful about it, then you're probably already kind of crossing that line. So it's not about being tactful. It's about letting them kind of come to you and sort of being, I think, like the role model that you wish you had, that you wish you had at the stables. Be that person. You don't have to have all of the answers. It's fine. But be that person, be that person that sparks a little bit of curiosity. So Mary, she says, yes, thank you. I'm glad that you're feeling it. So, okay. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And I'm going to go we have a bunch of questions about this topic. So how do you set ground rules or boundaries when you are riding with others? So for example, please don't canter off into the woods, or don't ride past me without warning. Again, I'm probably not going to answer these questions the way you think I should answer them, because to me, yes, if you're on a green horse, it might be worth it to like let your, riding buddies know, like, hey, my horse is green. I can't always control what they're doing. So I might be cantering next to you while you're trotting. Okay. So maybe give them a little bit of warning or something like that. But personally, when it comes to like trying to tell other people like, hey, don't go cantering by, or, oh, ride slower, or, oh, do this. Why? Okay. I think if you are so uncomfortable on your horse that if another horse was to canter past you, then the problem is actually you and your horse, not them. Okay. We need to teach our horses to be with us. Okay. They need to follow us. We are their herd. Like, we are their alpha member and their herd, not that other horse. So if your horse is that type that is so obsessed with what the other horses are doing, then you might want to rethink your relationship with your horse a little bit and actually start working on some of the games, for example, that we have in the Speaking the Horse Language course. Like, that's what you want to be focusing on. Okay, you need to be your horse's like herd. You need to be a part of their herd, and they need to get used to listening to you and not other horses. And the reason that I say that like the problem is you, and I know this is hard to hear because it's not your fault like intentionally, but you need to know how to do this because of, I mean, so many reasons, like safety reasons for yourself and for the others. Like, you can't walk on eggshells with your horse. You can't go around if you're at a competition and you're in a warm-up arena. You cannot expect all 20 horses in the warm-up arena to behave the way that you think that they should behave because your horse might do something. Okay. So at that point, it's already a bit too late. If you feel that you're not comfortable to go out on a ride and a horse is cantering next to you and you're trotting, then you need to do your homework before you put yourself into that situation. Okay. So you need to work on some of the games that we have in the Speaking the Horse Language course. You need to like practice being your horse's alpha horse. And I don't mean like bully and aggressive or dominating. I just mean like be your horse's herd. Be so like a part of your horse's herd that they are more interested in your opinion on top of their back than they are the other horses in the arena or out on the trail. So hopefully, again, probably not what you want to hear, but that's the truth. Okay, let me just go into the next question because we have quite a few of them. Okay, so this one is a bit more specific to like riding with a spouse. So when would it be a good idea to have someone else teach your spouse? And then make sure that they still somehow agree with your training style or your training philosophy. So this is an interesting question. And I know I made a YouTube video about this because I'm an FEI level 2 certified coach. I've been coaching around the world, internationally in so many different countries. And when my husband and I first started dating, he started taking lessons with me. So he had never ridden horses before, but he always really wanted to, and he just never had the chance. So in this topic of, how do you kind of set your husband or your spouse up for success, but at the same time still make sure that they are getting like valuable instructions and a philosophy that, suits your style, I would say don't be ashamed. Like, if you are not a coach or if you're not, capable or qualified or comfortable to teach your spouse, then that's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. And me, I don't take it personally. My husband, I actually booked for him to go on a couple of like weekend clinics and retreats and things, even though I'm a coach, because I like that different perspectives. I learned with a lot of different coaches, and I think that it's important to have different perspectives, different points of view, especially if sometimes for some reason, like your spouse just doesn't want to hear it from you. I don't know why. They want to hear it from someone else. So maybe you've said it already 20 times, but it just takes another person to say it for it to click. So, don't take it personally. I think it's just one of those things. But yeah, that's what I would suggest is to do your homework a little bit, research, find some coach or a trainer or someone that kind of aligns with your style or what it is that you value. And then don't be afraid to like give up that power and let them learn from someone else. I know that could be really difficult, but you have to respect that, like respect their level, like what they're at, and respect, like, if their coach says something slightly different than what you said, maybe don't just like, oh, she's totally wrong, but try and kind of work with them and, give them a little bit of guidance or whatever. But again, sometimes it's just better to like, kind of like, okay, like I'm just going to let them learn it from that other person. And when they're ready for my advice and when they're ready for my help, I'm always there. So hopefully, again, that kind of helps a little bit. Let me just see if there's someone else that's asking. So another question was, does it matter if someone is training your horse and then like you go and you ride your horse on the weekend? So, like this is an interesting topic as well. This could be, your spouse or a friend or a professional trainer or whatever, but does it affect your horse if multiple people are riding that same horse? Now, I know in the space of like riding lesson schools and with school horses, a dozen people might be riding that horse throughout the week. And so that's usually why lesson horses are like the older horses, that they're not too bothered by different people, different styles and beginners or mistakes happening on their back. They just kind of like roll with it. So that's kind of an extra special situation. But for the most part, most horses, you have to be very careful with them when you're training them. if I am taking a horse to train, for example, then I don't want the owner anywhere near them. So, if the owner has something specific that they need to work on with that horse, then I might kind of work with that horse privately. And then once I figure out like what's going on, or what's happening, is it actually the horse's fault, or is it actually the rider or the owner? Then I might bring the rider or the owner back and kind of introduce them together in a lesson environment. So that way I can kind of semi-control the situation a little bit and help give them guidance and direction as to what I was doing when I was training the horse. So I would definitely recommend that if you have like a trainer or somebody who's working with your horse, that you also don't just like take the horse and then try and go and do stuff because you saw or heard that your trainer did it. Because I think it's important to kind of work with him and get lessons and sort of ease your way into having the horse become yours again. Because, just because you're throwing money at a horse trainer doesn't mean that the actual problem is getting fixed. And the reason I say that is because, so for example, I had a student once who the horse was rearing all the time. Like that was the horse's thing. And I took the horse and I started riding it. The horse didn't really have any problems with me, and we got along fine. And I went to the owner of the horse and I said, this isn't going to work. You can keep throwing money at me if you want, but this isn't going to work. And she was kind of confused. Like, what do you mean? Like, well, your horse isn't rearing with me, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to rear with you. So, you can keep, again, paying me all kinds of money. That's fine as well. But at the end of the day, like the problem is you. So we need to fix you, not your horse. So, again, when it comes to, that's kind of an extreme situation. The horse was rearing a lot with her because it knew how to kind of get her to stop doing what the horse didn't want her to do. So that's, again, kind of an extreme situation, but hopefully that makes sense a little bit, that when you are having somebody else ride your horse or whatever, they might be installing buttons. They might have certain style. They might do something slightly different. Like you won't even notice what the differences are. But it's important that you actually figure out what those differences are and like meet in the middle and then figure out how to kind of take it from there, because it's not a Band-Aid, if you're having a trainer or whatever, like it's not a Band-Aid, it's not a quick fix. It's a long-term kind of process. And if you don't know what it is that you were doing that was contributing to the problems or whatever it was that the horse is doing that you needed a trainer for or someone else to ride, that it can actually affect the horse and influence the horse in a big way. So if you are sharing a horse, if it's like you and your spouse, if they're riding a lot, honestly, I would like get them their own horse, get them their own horse, and then you guys could ride together. So that's kind of what happened with me and my husband. I had bought a horse, Lily, and we were training her, and he was learning everything horses with her. But at some point, it got to the point where he was riding a lot and he just needed his own horse. So I did. We went and we bought him Q, and he has had Q ever since then. I almost never ride Q. I've probably sat on her like 2 or 3 times in the beginning when we first bought her, but that's his horse. And he does what he wants with her. So, I have my horse, he has his horse. And I think that if they're riding a lot, then that is the better solution, because you don't want to have the horses get upset and frustrated by, multiple people with different styles or different levels riding them. So hopefully that has answered your question. I'm trying to go ahead and wrap up. So let me know in the comments or in the chat if you have any other questions. And I hope you guys have found this video helpful. I know it was like a lot of topics that I wanted to cover, all at once. So if you're just joining me live now, like make sure you go back and watch the replay. I answered 3 or 4 questions on this topic. So again, just let me know in the chat if you have any questions. And not just about this topic, but any topic in the future. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. And then I'm going to go ahead and leave my email as well. You guys can leave me an email if you have a specific topic that you would like to hear about. I mean, that's how I got today's topic, was I got like a whole bunch of like questions and things. So yeah, just send me an email or reach out to me on Facebook or YouTube or, wherever it is that you want. And I'm always happy to hear from you and discuss. So I am going to be doing another live stream next week, so feel free to join in. I always do them Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Germany at the moment, and it's snowy outside, and it's like 3 in the afternoon here, so hopefully you guys I know it's early in the US. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So take care, and have a good day.